Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well. So, if you weren't there for video number 1, earlier on, we decided to speak about this guy. You can go and check it out. The rumours and the news coming out of Italy, specifically as well as Juventus, but Antonio Conte's Napoli. Well, go and have a look, much appreciated. And this, video number 2, is also a little bit of a continuation from that. And we have just, before pressing the record button, had some breaking news from Fabrizio. So, we're going to address all of that. Let me paint you a picture, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So, we started off with Nicholas Jackson earlier on to talk about the rumours from earlier today. Here's Rahman Osman. Rahman Osman saying no one has been in contact with Nicholas Jackson's camp. That's a little bit of a tongue twister, that. Jackson's. No, it's not. Why am I tongue twisting that? Anyway, Rahman Osman, talking about the rumours from earlier on, he apparently has some sort of a link to Jackson's camp. I don't know. And according to him, there's been no contact. We did say earlier on from Sky Sports in Italy saying that there was introductory talks, something just to like start a contact. Maybe Rahman didn't get the memo, or maybe it's not even true. We got to be fair and entertain all options here, because I don't know. So let me now show you what Sky Sports from the UK, in conflict with their counterparts in Italy, had to say earlier on. So Chelsea are planning to have at least 2 frontline strikers in their squad next season, which means Nicholas Jackson is not for sale at the moment. Right. I think there's a key detail to justify here. At the moment. Of course, and this makes sense. Chelsea haven't put Nico Jackson on the transfer list. That makes sense. Of course they haven't. But in the last few minutes, we've had Fabrizio come out with this. Chelsea remain in the striker market. They will keep following Hugo Ekitike and more players. So we've just justified, this is where we tried to put 2 and 2 together to make 4, right? We've just justified that Chelsea want to have at least 2 frontline strikers in their squad next season. Yeah, at least. And we are, according to Fab, still looking at Ekitike and other options too. So what does that mean? Does Jackson survive that or not? Because I don't think he does. We just brought Liam Delap in. So, Sky Sports went on to say this. Jackson has been the subject of interest from 3 Premier League clubs, as well as clubs in Europe and Saudi Arabia this summer. Clubs in Italy are interested in Jackson, but they may not be able to afford the transfer fee and wages, which would lead to any potential sell. And that, to be fair, is kind of true. I don't think Jackson will be the most expensive player in the world. But, yeah, the Italian teams are strapped, and they have been for a few seasons. The situation economically in Italian football isn't great. They're all kind of poor. When you compare to other like England or even Spain, it's different. So that is a point. But does Jackson survive if Chelsea are in fact interested in another striker? Does Jackson survive that? I don't think so. So right now, maybe no one is actually fully in touch with Jackson, but no one can convince me that Chelsea are not even entertaining to sell Jackson. And you know what? If that is the case, that's the right decision. As far as I'm concerned. Like I said in video number 1, I said yesterday, I'm done. I'm done. And people try and say, no, well, some, not all, to be honest. This is a minority, to be fair. I know a lot of you are in agreement with me. But minority saying, no, Younes, you're being too emotional. I'm not being emotional. You lot are being emotional. You lot are letting sentiment come in the way. No, but he said he apologized. We got to keep him. No, there's no sentiment here. There's a level and a standard to uphold. Simple. You've crossed the line more than twice. Twice, really badly. And there's been other issues. Brother, if you can't even back that up, you know, with goals and footballing ability, then there's nothing to hold on to. Balotelli, who was a decent striker, yeah, decent, physical, was a nice profile to have in your team, but the guy was a coconut. You could not keep him under control. Every single club let him go, even though he was a decent centre forward and you knew he would get you goals, but it just couldn't work. Even Mourinho couldn't keep control of that, brother. Discipline is discipline. End of story. That's how I see it. Now, if you want to agree or disagree, that's entirely up to you. But for me, Jackson, bye-bye. So Chelsea need to see what they're going to do. And we should go into the market for another striker and then run with it from there. Now, let's move from the striker situation. Let me know what you think on Jackson and the strikers. And I know, again, I'm gonna get Osimhen in the comments. I just am. I know I am. So feel free to load it up. But there was a rumor that come out earlier on from Team Talk. This is from Rudy Galletti. This is not the best source, but you know what? It doesn't look like it might actually be untrue. I'll explain why. Here it is. So Chelsea have not closed the chapter on Maignan and are now planning to make another move after the Club World Cup. Chelsea already agreed personal terms with Maignan on a 6-year contract worth around 8.5 million euros a year. Bear that in mind. Rudy Galletti himself, Chelsea have not given up on Maignan. After early June attempts, Chelsea, which have an agreement on personal terms with Mike, will try again post-Club World Cup. AC Milan remain adamant, no discounts on the price tag. The saga is set for a fresh chapter. You'd look at that from Rudy Galletti and from Team Talk, and normally you would go, I can't really trust that one. Yeah, and fair enough, because they're not super reliable. But you know what? It's mad, because just before hitting the record button, just like the strike situation, Fabrizio has also spoken about the goalkeeper. And you know what? It seems correct. Chelsea are being offered several goalkeepers on a daily basis. The goalkeeper story at Chelsea may not be over, so let's follow the situation later in the window, because there are still movements behind the scenes with many important agents offering Chelsea goalkeepers. They are trusting the ones they have, but the story could still be open with Maignan or any other goalkeeper later in the transfer window. So it's ironic that has come out after what Rudy Galletti has put out, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to say this. Till we get more updates, I'm just going to say it very easily. Pay AC Milan the money. Simple as that. Yeah. Now, you want to try and negotiate over 20 to 25 million and try and meet in the middle somewhere, or add a bonus, or okay. But don't insult them by trying to offer them 15. Yeah, look, there was a matter of 3 to 4 million before we decided to walk away. If that's all it takes, just flipping pay. Just pay. Look, well, we lost against Flamengo. I can't even say what I was about to say. I was about to say every time we win, we get 1.5 million. So just win the next game and it's cool. But we lost against Flamengo. If we beat Esperance, we get 1.5. Then we get another 7, I think, for getting to the last 16. And then we can get more if we win that. I mean, look, it's adding up. Yeah, it's enough. It's enough to cover what we needed to get Maignan. So just pay the money. Just pay the money, please. And get this goalkeeper through the door. That way we don't need to worry about the goalkeeping department again, please. That's all. That's all. That's all. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Maignan seems like it's still on. Now, we'll see what updates transpire throughout the window. Let's move to Marc Guehi. There's been an update. Now, we know that there was a link between him and Chelsea at one point. So what's the latest on Marc Guehi? Because that was a centre-back that we were apparently interested in. Well, here he is. There seems little prospect of Chelsea following up preliminary interest in Guehi. Guardian goes on to say Marc Guehi will not be rushed into a decision on his future and is prepared to see out the final year of his contract if the right move does not materialise. Palace are looking to cash in, who is a target for Liverpool, Newcastle and Tottenham. So they've illustrated here that Chelsea are not part of the group. But there's more. Guehi, who has no intention of signing an extension, remains open-minded about his next destination, and a big consideration for the 24-year-old is making sure he has plenty of playing time next season. So it seems like he's on the market. Palace are going to want to get money for him. He doesn't want to sign an extension, so they're going to have to sell now. There's Liverpool, Newcastle and Spurs all interested. Personally, even though he's ex-Cobham and all of that, but I look, he's a decent defender. He's a decent centre-back, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we need some physicality in this defence. I feel like we need to bolster properly, some proper, you need one really good defender that is able to fluctuate and be a little bit agile, and then you need another defender that's just all about, I'm going to flipping take everyone out. And Guehi, as much as he's got a little bit of that in him, but physically he's not the biggest, and he can get dominated in the air. And that is an area that we need to fix up, especially in defence. So Marc Guehi, for me, nah, I wouldn't. I would be more in favour of Branthwaite than I would with Marc Guehi, personally. But We'll see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts on that one. It seems like he's going to be heading off to either Liverpool, Newcastle or Tottenham unless someone else makes a move, but not Chelsea. So let me know your thoughts. Liverpool and Isak. What's the latest? Well, the Telegraph have come out with this. Liverpool will not move forward with a deal for Alexander Isak. It's not financially viable. And I'm not surprised. They're about to literally break the British transfer record for Florian Wirtz of 150 or 60 million or whatever the hell the whole package is, right? So it's 100 plus more. Maybe I've exaggerated there, but you get the gist. It's a lot of money. Maybe in euros, actually, that's about right. But in pounds, it's a little less. But it's a lot of money. The big contract. Now, to transpire the same thing, to do the same thing for another player in the same window, I mean, PSR out the window, lads. Yeah, you're failing FFP with certainty. Considering that Trent went to Real Madrid for free, you're not going to be looking good in the books. So I'm not surprised. Because it did come out that apparently Newcastle were maybe going to be interested if the fee was about 200 million, which is just insane. But it makes sense. I get why Newcastle would want that. Because they wouldn't want to let him go. So if you do want him, listen, 200 million and we might think about talking. It makes sense. It makes sense on Newcastle's part. Liverpool, no one can afford that. Just no one that can afford that. So he sticks around. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Isak looking like he's not going anywhere. Okay, now we've clarified that one. There was a spat between Nuno Espirito Santo and the Nottingham Forest owner, if you remember, Evangelos Marinakis. Well, there's an update about those two. Let's get into it. Nuno Espirito Santo has signed a new contract with Nottingham Forest until 2028. Owner Evangelos Marinakis says we share the same dream and ambition, competing in the Premier League and in Europe and winning trophies for our great club. I'm not surprised. Santo done a good job with him. He actually did. And people are looking too much into that thing on the final day, when was it the final day or near, where it looked like Nottingham Forest was starting to really head south and the owner came on the pitch and people were like, no, how dare he? No, if you've been in a dressing room, you'd know that sort of thing is standard. It happens. Bruv, the guy's ambitious. You can see the guy wanted Nottingham Forest to play Champions League football. And he was that close. What, you'd think you'd be emotionless? No, brother, I'd be on the pitch running, I'd be on the pitch running, flipping laps. Right? Trying to get it drilled into everyone's heads. What the hell's going on? You know, I just would. So, no, I share the sentiment. I get it. There was nothing in it for me that screamed, oh, he's not being professional. Some people like, keep it indoors. Football is an emotional sport. Football and he's the flipping owner. He's gone to talk to his gaffer immediately. Accountability, bruv. The full-time whistle's gone. I'm speaking to you now. I don't care about the cameras. I'm going to speak to you now, right here. And he did, and it didn't look aggressive or anything like that. They had a word. Well, guess what? He signed a new deal. So people need to chill. People need to relax. Listen, and I want to make a point. Yeah, I want to make a point. People are getting too soft. People are getting too soft. People need to stop getting so soft. And you know what? That goes for people, supporters, football clubs. It also goes for flipping players. It goes for everybody, because I'm about to show you something that tells you what direction European, because I don't believe this exists anywhere else, European football is going in, and it's going to set a dangerous precedent because we're getting too sensitive. Check this one out from the Club World Cup. Borussia Dortmund's bench is watching their Club World Cup match from the locker room because of the heat. It's currently 87 degrees Fahrenheit, 30.5 degrees Celsius in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the match is being played. Are you flipping kidding me? Are you kidding me? 30 degrees. Listen, I'll be real. If it was near to 40, I can consider. Because Europeans, not entirely used to the heat. 40 degrees is a bit excessive. Listen, I'm here in Dubai. I'm in 40 degrees right now. Well, not right now, it's night. But during the day, it's 40 right now. 40, 41, it hits there. I'm outside. I can imagine sitting there if there's no cover, no dugout to cover me properly. It's hot in that just for 90 minutes. I completely understand that. You're going to have to actually keep drinking water. You're going to have to do all of that. At 40, I get it. At 30, you should be ashamed of yourselves. At 30 degrees, you can't sit on the bench. So you're not even moving. You're in the dressing room watching the game whilst your teammates are out there having to play in it. That's a joke. If I'm on the pitch, I'm like, you lot should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm out there playing for us and you lot are in here keeping it cool under the aircon because it's 30 degrees. Grow a pair. Please grow a pair. This is what I mean. Things are getting soft around here. Things are getting soft. Football clubs, clearly, morals, everyone's getting sensitive, but this is getting too much. In Africa and in South America and in all these places, in parts of Asia, they will laugh at you for this. They will laugh. And you're a professional. You're a professional. People are going to talk about humidity. It's 30 degrees. This is what I'm saying. If it was near to 40, fair enough. It's 30. What's the issue? Honestly, I've got no words. I've got no words now. That's it. I can't add any more. Simple as that. Let me know your thoughts. Meanwhile, in the Czech Republic, to end, let's have a little laugh. This is what happened today. So this team, I can't pronounce that to be honest, but TJ Slavoj Stod against Victoria Pleasant finished 23-0. At halftime, it was 12-0. I just thought I'd show you this for the bants, really. But I hope that other team, Slavoj Stod, I hope they stood their ground and made it home without getting, I don't know, killed for that result. I mean, bloody hell, 23-0. Crazy. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on that one. I'll catch all of you tomorrow for a brand new video. Much appreciated. Make sure you subscribe, notification bell on. Actually, tomorrow it's going to be a double, so make sure you guys are here. And I'll see all of you then. Thank you so much. Look after yourselves in a bit. Take care and peace.